Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Before starting, I'd just like to send on the apologies of Aidan, who unfortunately couldn't be with us today. And what I'm going to try and do, I suppose, is deliver the paper that he had set out for this morning in terms of his interpretation of growing the success of the Irish food and drink industry and the story of Origin Green. I suppose from our point of view, Pathways for Growth, which is authored on behalf of Board BIA by David Bell and Mary Shellman of the Harvard Business School, and using the work entitled Come See Us, called for an umbrella strategy to show what the Irish food and drink industry stands for, what sets us apart, and what might enhance our industry in this changing world. The strategy agreed with industry is one built upon sustainability, and this, which was launched by An Taoiseach at the Smurfit School last June, is the story of Origin Green. And I suppose when you look at every story has a setting. And the setting of this story is of a resource-restrained world, perfectly symbolised, I suppose, by this chart, showing how a century of declining commodity prices, which were made up of metals, energy, food and agriculture, interrupted only by 2 world wars and an oil price shock, has been wiped out and indeed reversed in the space of less than a decade. And in the case of food in particular, this upward trend is being marked, as we all know, by significant volatility. And the forces driving this upward trajectory are clear. On the demand side, we have an ever-growing global population and a rapidly expanding middle class across the globe. One today that numbers 1.8 billion people and dominated by North America, Europe and Japan, but not for much longer. According to the OECD, 3 billion more people will join the middle classes in just this and the next decade. That's 150 million people a year, which is the same as creating a market in buying power terms the size of the European Union every 3 years. It is creating an unprecedented demand on resources, and with Asia now set to dominate growth in the middle classes, China in this decade, India in the next, the map of global buying power is shifting rapidly. A buying power that has been met by significant new supply challenges. We see falling rates of agricultural productivity, climate change, and a seeming increased frequency of freak weather conditions are leaving farming more vulnerable than ever before to market and price volatility on a scale not previously experienced. Weather is the single biggest reason for volatility, according to the FAO OECD. And with agriculture using 70% of the world's fresh water supplies for irrigation, the UN estimates that by the year 2025, 2/3 of the world's population will be living in regions under water stress, with 1.8 billion people living in regions with absolute water scarcity. And at a time when the world needs more land, more of our existing land resources being diverted to alternative uses. Land for fuel, no longer just for food. So surging demand, new resource challenges, and we begin to understand what the World Wildlife Fund means when it says that we're eating the planet. According to the fund, we're using resources of the planet at a rate of 1.5 times that the planet can sustain. To quote their words, we're using up resources that rightly belong to our children, our grandchildren and their descendants. And I suppose that pretty much is how the Brundtland Commission defined sustainability 25 years ago. They said sustainable development was about meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. And as long as we continue to eat the planet, we can be assured that it will continue to command the attention of government, intergovernmental and non-governmental organisations alike, and through them, the public at large. And the focus is on the corporate world and governments alike. You just look at this example of a half-page advertisement that the World Wildlife Fund carried in the Financial Times in January of last year, essentially warning the new president of Brazil that our credibility is like the forest. Once it's gone, it's gone. And that's a reference to a planned amendment to the Forest Code in Brazil, which the fund claimed, if passed, would result in the loss of millions of hectares of forest and the emissions of billions of tonnes of CO2 into the environment. In the event, 4 months later, the President relented by imposing only a partial veto on the legislation rather than the full veto the NGOs sought. And you could say that's one ad, one paper, one day, what impact? You look a couple of weeks later, Walmart, in its 2012 Global Sustainability Report, no doubt, I suppose, noting the position of the WWF, promised an immediate rollout of a monitoring system for Brazilian beef, the leading driver of deforestation in the Amazon, in a country it recognises as the world's third largest emitter of greenhouse gas emissions. And I suppose when you look at it, Walmart's position wasn't surprising. After all, it describes sustainability as the single biggest business opportunity of the 21st century and the next source of competitive advantage. And I suppose you look at it, the corporate world has embraced sustainability. In 2002, Nestlé, Unilever and Danone came together to form the Sustainable Agriculture Initiative Platform, which essentially is a non-profit organisation that aims to facilitate sharing of knowledge and initiatives to support the development and implementation of sustainable agricultural practices involving all the different stakeholders in the supply chain. Today, from its initial 3 members, the SAI platform now has a total of 40 members from across the globe, including from Ireland, and operates at a pre-competitive level. At a competitive level, we've seen initiatives from the likes of M&S, who have Plan A because they say there is no Plan B, and their intention is to create a gap between themselves and their competitors, and they expect their suppliers to help them deliver in creating that gap. Sainsbury's last year launched its 20 by 20 sustainability plan, promising to source all of its key agricultural raw materials sustainably to an independent standard by the end of this decade. And it also stated that all of its meat and dairy products, which Ireland obviously has a significant interest, will be sourced from suppliers who will be leading in terms of social and environmental standards and who also to adhere to high independent animal welfare standards. Likewise, you look at Unilever and their Sustainable Living Plan. They've made similar commitments. It sets out that by 2020, it too will be sourcing 100% of its agricultural raw materials sustainably. In addition, they say that they will halve the environmental footprint involved in the making and use of their products, and they will help more than 1 billion people improve their health and well-being. Likewise, McDonald's, Ireland's largest beef customer internationally, is focusing on its road to sustainability, looking at monitoring, measuring and improving the environment, the social aspects involved with sustainability. Look at Danone, which is intensifying its production in Ireland. It has outlined 6 stages on the company's road to sustainability. It's not alone. It's clear that most major multinational players are taking sustainability very seriously. They've embraced it and put it at the centre of what they're doing. Why are they doing that? They see a business case for sustainability. And Unilever have summed up the business case as follows. They say consumers want it, retailers want it, it drives innovation, it develops new markets, it saves money, and it inspires their people to look at new ways of doing things. So that is the business case they see behind sustainability. But that's not the end of the story. You look at Nestlé, now with its own significant presence in the Irish dairy sector, has for a long time recognised the importance of sustainability in their own business and everything they do, and now have built that onto a new level in which they call the CSV pyramid. And they look at that and they say for a company to be successful in the long term and create value for its shareholders, Nestlé states that it must also create value for society. And they call this creating shared value. And I suppose building on environmental sustainability, Nestlé has focused its efforts and investment in 3 areas: in nutrition, water and rural development. And these are the areas it regards as being core to its business activities and vital to its value chains. You look at the principles of shared value. They've been articulated by the architect, I suppose, of modern business strategy, Michael Porter, who believes that the concept requires that societal needs, not just conventional economic needs, define markets. And it's not about sharing the value already created by firms, but rather it's about expanding the total pool of economic and social value. And he instances an example of societal benefits such as healthier foods and environmentally friendly products. And he also cites companies like Google, IBM, Johnson & Johnson and Unilever, as well as Nestlé, as being companies that recognise the transformative power of creating shared value. The corporate world is definitely responding to the needs of a resource-threatened planet. And financial markets have also placed a value on sustainability. You look at the Dow Jones Sustainability Index, established in 1999. Every year it sets out to assess the sustainability performance of the world's largest 2,500 companies to make up its index. You look at that, it says that the market is putting a value or a price on sustainability. And I suppose essentially that's what we're looking to try and do for the Irish food and drink industry as well. And I suppose when you go out into the marketplace and you ask our customers about the sustainability of Irish food and drink production, the overwhelming image that customers have across the globe of us is one of a nation of friendly, warm and welcoming people, a land of green fields and a natural form of production. And I suppose it is a perception borne out by reality. You look at this map or a satellite image from NASA's Aqua satellite and you see the greenness of the Irish landscape. And that image there was one of the top 10 images on NASA's website in 2011. But it's not just the colour green. Our green credentials go much deeper than the colour of our landscape. You look at this chart here, which basically sums up the report from the EU Commission published over the last year or so, and it shows that our dairy industry in Ireland has the lowest carbon footprint in the EU, along with Austria. Similarly, our beef industry is among the best 5 performing member states across the European Union in terms of greenhouse gas emissions, once again highlighting the natural advantages of our grass-based production systems. Finally, I suppose in a world where it has been said that we'll run out of water at the current rate of overuse long before we run out of oil, and it will be the cause of massive food shortages within the next 15 to 20 years, our credentials in water couldn't be stronger, as demonstrated by the fact of this chart looking at the level of water stress in different countries across the world. Ireland doesn't even register when it comes to water stress. So in many respects, you could look at it. I know it registers in our minds maybe from a wetness point of view, but not. It's a different type of stress. Different. I suppose you look at sustainability and you take all of that together and you could say sustainability was nearly created for the Irish food and drink industry. But I suppose it's our management of the resource that we have, with which we have naturally available to us, is where we're going to get the potential benefit from embracing sustainability in the marketplace, and ultimately it's how sustainability can help deliver in terms of the future of the Irish food and drink industry. We're at a great starting point, but that's all we're at. We need to now push on and I suppose try and become a world leader in sustainability. And I suppose we believe that that's what we can and should be famous for. But that's not going to happen by chance. To be a world leader requires 4 conditions are met. Number 1, it requires that every farm and food business signs up to and lives the sustainability agenda. And I suppose within that, we've set ourselves a goal in Board Bia that by the end of 2014, at least 70% of our food and drink exports come from farms and firms that are on that road to sustainability. We need to measure what matters, because you can't manage what you're not measuring. And recognising what matters the most may be different in some places than others. So what we need to measure is we need to be clear on what's important from a sustainability point of view for the Irish food and drink industry, and ensure then that we have international accreditation and verification to show the robustness of what we can talk about and demonstrate in the marketplace. And finally, we need to achieve continuous improvement through access to and application of science, innovation and best practice. A role, I suppose, in which the world-class credentials in sustainability built up by Teagasc over the last number of years will be great value. As we announced last June, we're not starting from scratch. It's a road that has already begun, or a journey that's already begun. We have an infrastructure in terms of our quality programmes that are already in place. Every year we visit more than 20,000 farms across different enterprises. Likewise, when we have a national scheme on the dairy sector, which hopefully will be developed over the coming year, we'll then have an infrastructure that covers more than 60% of our total exports on an annual basis. It's also an infrastructure that already includes sustainability measures around animal welfare and the environment. And working with the Carbon Trust here, or in the UK, and Teagasc here at home, we've already achieved accreditation for 3 carbon footprint models. 1 for beef farms, another for beef processing, and finally for dairy farms. And our aim is that by the end of this year, we'll have measured the greenhouse gas performance of 32,000 beef farms across the country, and we expect to have begun rolling out similar measures for the dairy sector.
And I suppose in this, we're already a world leader in many ways. No country anywhere in the world is assessing the greenhouse gas emission performance of its farms on such a national scale, and doing so in a process of measurement, feedback and continuous improvement. And as we extend measures across all our schemes and extend our schemes into new sectors, so are we at the same time working on new sustainability measures around water and biodiversity, because sustainability is not just about carbon, it's a much broader issue. Likewise, it's not just about on-farm. We recognise the fact that food manufacturing has a major role to play in communicating the sustainability of the food and drink industry. So last June, as part of the launch of Origin Green, we added a sustainability charter so that food and drink manufacturers can demonstrate their commitment to sustainability in their business. In designing the charter, we've drawn on the ICL Alliance Code of Good Practice, which is a global association for setting sustainability standards founded some 10 years ago and has been instrumental in the likes of the Rainforest Alliance, Fair Trade, etc. And this is how it works. Essentially, we ask each food manufacturing company to sign up to developing a 3 to 5 year sustainability plan for their business. We ask them to decide on what key target areas are going to form part of that plan. We ask them to decide what base year are they going to measure progress from. And I suppose recognising the fact that investments have been made by a number of companies over recent years, we allow them to go back 2 years previously to use as their base year for the programme. We then ask them to set timelines and targets for what they're going to achieve during the period of the plan, and we require them to commit then to reporting on an annual basis on the progress made towards achieving the targets set out in the plan. In return, we'll offer manufacturers a level of independent verification for Origin Green. And really what that involves is the SGS Group, which is the world's largest inspection, certification and verification company, essentially assessing the plans that we receive, ensuring that they're robust, that the targets that are set can be measured and can be tracked over time. And again, trying to add credibility to the programme as we go through the process, recognising the fact that our customers will want to see what level of verification and structure is behind the scheme. And I suppose what we've done then is we've launched origingreen.ie, and that allows prospective members to go online and see what Origin Green is all about, see what's involved in the Sustainability Charter, and formally register their interest to take part in the programme. And then what we look at is each firm sets out its own plans about what it wants to achieve for its company over the period of the plan. And the slides on the screen here behind me are just giving you an example of some of the targets that are being set by companies that have become members of the programme over the last number of months. Already, we have a situation where about 60% of our exporting companies are covered by Origin Green in terms of their registering of interest. That's a good start. Registration is a great start. The next step is for us to develop plans for each of those companies and get the detail behind what targets they're going to set to deliver improvement across their own business. As we develop the programme, we have been, I suppose, in ongoing discussions with key customers across different markets and trying to share, I suppose, our vision, our objectives for the programme, and at the same time get an understanding of what they are looking for from their suppliers if we're to get a point of difference from sustainability in the marketplace. And as we travel along this journey, we will share our, I suppose, experiences, our credentials and what we're doing with this programme with our customers. But for the moment, our attention really, I suppose, is on building up the evidence behind the story. So rather than rushing out and communicating to say we're the most sustainable producer in the world, we want to have proof, we want to have the credentials built up and then communicate the actions that have been taken by the industry here to deliver on its sustainability ambitions over a period of time. And I suppose to help us sign up to Origin Green then and help us communicate the idea and the messages we want to get through the programme, we enlisted the support of Saoirse Ronan, the Irish actress, on a pro bono basis. And I suppose you look at Saoirse Ronan, she's 18, 19 years of age, and she's of a generation for whom sustainability really matters. And one, I suppose, who knows how to tell a compelling story to an international audience and can tell it with real conviction. And again, using her enthusiasm, using her, if you like, way of communicating to build a message about Origin Green in the marketplace, to start the process of our international customers becoming aware of what we try to achieve. And I'd just like to play for you now a short video clip that Saoirse helped us prepare in May, June of last year to give you a sense for what we're trying to achieve through the programme.
We did not inherit this world from our parents. We borrowed it from our children. One day, we will return it to them. When we do, it should be every bit as bountiful as it was when we found it. That's what sustainability means. And sustainability is what the world needs now, which gives Ireland a momentous opportunity, maybe the defining opportunity of our time, because the rewards it can bring us all are breathtaking. Ireland can become a world leader in sustainably produced food and drink. It's a bold ambition, but it can be realised, because sustainability has always been at the source of who we are. Think about it. Our climate has always been this mild. Our landscape this lush. Our fields have always been this green and windswept and rain-washed. Our seas have always teemed with fish. The elements have always conspired here to make great farming possible. Deep within us. Our farms have been looked after by generation after generation of families. Our fishing industry too. All caretakers, custodians, protectors, because every generation has acknowledged one simple fact, that this land belongs not to us, but to the ones who come after. So, many of the things we need for sustainability are already in place. But there is much more to be done. To become known throughout the world for the food and drink we make in harmony with nature, we need to embark on a journey. It's a journey with sustainability as its destination. It's a journey we should make for this generation. It's a journey we must make for the next. We need to tell the world we're on that journey, and we need to show them proof that we can partake of the world without taking from the world. So come and join us. Sustainability is the destination. I can see it up ahead. It's within our reach, because it always has been. It's our destiny, because it was part of our past. Now let's all pull together, join this movement, share this vision, celebrate the extraordinary source that is this country, and bring the food and drink that we make with such care for the world, to the world. Let's all sign up to Origin Green.
So I suppose if I was to sum up, I think Ireland has a great opportunity if we can embrace sustainability about creating a real point of difference in the marketplace for our food and drink products. We're at a great starting point. What we need to do now is just really demonstrate what we already have to offer and also show that we're continuously working on delivering further improvement in key areas. I think Origin Green, from our point of view, it's about being able to communicate that activity and those credentials in the marketplace to try and, I suppose, ultimately benefit all stakeholders in the industry through getting increased value for our food and drink exports on an annual basis. That's a run through it. Again, apologies from Aidan Cotter for not being able to attend, but thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.